SpaceX is on track to build over 5 million new Starlink kits this year alone, while government shills are warning of pending doom. What is going on? So there's no tea this morning, but that's okay. We're going to jump right into this. This kind of got me a little bit fired up, and normally I'll just do one article and then I'll give you my commentary over it, but there was multiple articles that I want to talk to you about in this video. It's kind of annoying, and let me just set this premise of what is going on here and why I want to do this. I read a lot of articles for you every single night. And then in the morning, I'll put together some notes, whatever, and I'll create a video for you, right? Hopefully giving you some good content. Well, the number of articles I've been reading that are negative to everything that Elon Musk does. It doesn't matter if it is the Tesla program, if it's SpaceX Starlink, is it the Starship, whatever it is, it's continuous negativity. And these rags, these online magazines that I used to absolutely love for tech news, have just gone down the tubes. Okay, I don't even know how else to say it nicely without becoming vulgar, but they're awful now. Ever since the election, these rags have just become so negative to the government, to Doge, to Elon Musk, to everything that's going on. It's just negative article to negative to negative to there is nothing positive. I would say it's a 10-to-1, which is really aggravating. It gets old after a while. So I want to read to you something that's more of a fluff piece of what's going on with SpaceX and SpaceX Starlink. And then I want to read to you something that we hear from Gizmodo and the rest of these rags that have turned extremely, extremely negative. Because I think it's important to contrast the two so that you guys get an understanding of what is going on. And when you read these articles or listen to videos or whatnot, you kind of take all of the information with a pinch of salt, because I think it's very important, because a lot of it is negative today. So once again, I'm going to get into a couple of articles for you, and then I'm going to give you some commentary. But down below, I want to hear from you. That's the most important thing here. If you enjoy the content, throw the video thumbs up, do all of those things, share, and all the rest of this stuff. If you want to give back to the channel, that would be fantastic. There's a thank you button down there. Click on that, give $1 or $2 if you like. It's not required, obviously. The video is still free, but it would be nice. If not, become a member of the channel. That would be even better. And if you want more SpaceX Starlink specific content, I've put together over 450 videos for you over the last 40 plus months. I'll put a link here. Don't click on it yet. The link will be here. So when you're done watching this video, go check that out. You'll find a lot of helpful how-tos, tips, tricks, what to do, what not to do, how to build mesh networks, all kinds of stuff, and including the why behind all of it. Because this channel has always been about the why. So this article starts out by saying, matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to run a video. You're going to be able to see a plant in Texas in operation building SpaceX Starlink. Cue the video. A massive factory just outside of Austin, Texas, buzzes with life as machines crank out 15,000 SpaceX Starlink satellite internet kits every day. That adds up to over 5 million kits a year, a staggering number that SpaceX recently highlighted in a detailed look at their operation. Raw plastic pellets and aluminum slabs morph into sleek, customer-ready kits, all set to beam internet across the globe. The process kicks off with basic materials rolling in. From there, it's a seamless flow of automation. Machines mold, cut, and piece together parts with pinpoint accuracy, creating those white dishes popping up on rooftops everywhere. Each kit links to SpaceX's network of nearly 7,100 satellites orbiting Earth, serving over 5 million users in 125 countries. The scale here is unreal. Robotic arms and conveyor belts keep the factory humming. It's a steady rhythm that powers a global internet revolution. SpaceX isn't just making gadgets. They're building a system that reaches where cables cannot. From the rural home to boats cutting through open waters, satellite launches weekly, keeping the constellation growing. This is about more than just tech. It's about impact. Those kits stacking up on the line are headed to places desperate for connection, like remote towns or disaster-struck regions. The factory's relentless pace mirrors SpaceX's mission. Don't stop, keep linking the world. It's not just metal and plastic, it's a lifeline, crafted in Texas here in the United States and not in a foreign country. What started as raw material ends as a tool for connecting every part of our planet, and maybe one day, even Mars. This is what we would consider a fluff piece, right? It is talking really positive about SpaceX Starlink, and how it's advancing. And I think it's fantastic. 5 million new kits per year at this plant in Texas, in the US, employing US citizens. Now, there's a couple of things that I find interesting that was not in this article. Number one, the factory that they're talking about was empty 2 years ago. And within 20 months, it has become what it is today. It went from 0 kits to pumping out 15,000 SpaceX Starlink kits per day. That's 70,000 per week. And from 0 employees to 1,000 in that period of time. Once again, putting out 5 million SpaceX Starlink kits per year. And that's kind of not all. The space is enlarging. They are going to put an addition of 1 million square feet. This is a massive addition just this year alone. So they're adding 1 million square feet to this. So I think in totality, it's going to be about 1.7 million. So they're right now at 700,000 square feet. They're going to add another million. That's 1.7 million. That is a lot. So where are we going to go? From 5 million per year, what they're currently putting out, maybe 10 million? So do you think that SpaceX Starlink is going anywhere? Well, according to this and making those numbers, the answer is definitely not. Well, then we have Gizmodo. They put out a piece. Now, instead of a fluff piece, this is more like a hit piece like they usually do. Once again, Gizmodo and a ton of others, I'll give you a list one day, all doing negative pieces on SpaceX, on Elon Musk, on Doge, on the current administration, on just their tech rag has become... Anyways, I digress. This piece is called "Inferior Starlink Will Leave Rural Americans Worse Off." I'm a rural American. Am I worse off with SpaceX Starlink? No, I've told you guys in the past that it was just an amazing, amazing change, positive change to our entire family. We went from extremely just slow 1990s speed to modern speeds with SpaceX Starlink. Anyways, the article starts out by saying, Evan Feynman, former head of the Commerce Department Rural Broadband Program, warns that SpaceX's Starlink could harm rural Americans. He argues it's inferior to fiber optic options, offering slower speeds, hundreds of megabits versus thousands with fiber, and a higher cost, around $120 per month. Feynman, who led the $42 billion Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, or BEAD, he was the lead of this, claims that SpaceX Starlink satellite reliance leaves users stranded long-term, as it can't match fiber's reliability or scale. How about on the top of a mountain? While Starlink shines in remote areas without infrastructure, its need for constant satellite replacement and regulatory limits on orbital capacity raises concerns. Does it really? Elon Musk has admitted Starlink won't replace fiber where it exists, keyword. But critics like Feynman see its growing federal favor potentially tapping into BEAD's funds as a risky shift away from superior ground-based solutions. Yeah. Is it risky? Yeah. It's risky for BEAD because BEAD's not going to have the funding. If SpaceX Starlink gets some of it, they were supposed to get $1 billion, about $980 or $970 million a couple of years back. And I reported on this, but it was taken away from them because they said, hey, we don't believe that you're going to be able to facilitate speeds that are fast enough to deem you as broadband to actually get this funding. Yeah. Once again, a bunch of BS. So what I did is I did some research here and I put together a few paragraphs I want to go through with you. It's a kind of a contradiction to what Feynman is saying here. And hopefully it shines a little bit of light on what is said and the negativity behind it and why it is there. Okay, for what reason? So I always talk about AT&T because I absolutely love AT&T, right guys? Yeah. AT&T has been raking in government money for decades to bridge the digital divide. I've talked about this for years now. Since the 90s, that's over 30 years, right? They've tapped into federal programs promising rural broadband expansion. They have. Take the Universal Service Fund, or the USF, a multi-billion-dollar pot funded by phone bill fees. You know, you look at those fees, right, on your phone bill, and you're like, what the hell is this? What is this fee? What is this USF? What is this CAF? What are all these fees? Those are your fees. All that money, billions. AT&T scored big through the Connect America Fund, once again, the CAF fund, a chunk of the USF aimed at rural broadband. Interesting. In 2015, they nabbed $428 million annually for 6 years, over $2.5 billion in totality. $2.5 billion, guys, to deliver 10 megabits download speeds to rural areas. That's B for billions. 10 megabits. Now, I can attest to that. This isn't just BS. This is truth, all right? This is truth. This is fact. This isn't fallacy that we read in all of these rags these days, okay? This is fact. I, for one, in a rural area had AT&T for 30 plus years. Now, we ended up getting DSL providing 7.5 megabits down. Yeah, megabits down, 7.5. And 0.7, not even 0.7 megabits up. We had that for 20 years. Then, after me bitching for a long time, we ended up getting 2 lines dropped instead of just 1. They bonded the 2 together, and we were able to obtain a grand total of 15 megabits down and 1.5 megabits up, just like what they're talking about here. And this happened for another 10 years. Okay, this is what AT&T does. They are charlatans. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of personal experience to show that this is absolutely fact. Now, what exactly did they deliver? The FCC in 2021 Broadband Progress Report showed 34% of rural Americans still lack broadband at 25 megabits down and 3 megabits up. Interesting. Way above the measly 10 by 1 or 10 megabits down by 1 up that AT&T promised with the CAF money. Once again, not fulfilling their promise. That is not bridging the digital divide. That's basically doing nothing and just sucking in money. A cash cow, a gold pot of funds, billions and billions of dollars of funding. Critics like the Government Accountability Office, or the GAO, have slammed these programs for poor oversight. Interesting. Sounding like Doge now, right? This is the GAO. This is past administration. In 2018, the GAO report found that the FCC couldn't even verify if companies like AT&T met deployment goals because of shaky data and lax accountability. Lacks accountability. They can't even say in this report, they can't even justify the money due to shaky data and lax accountability. Really? So yeah, AT&T took the cash, but the rural divide stays divided. Fast forward to the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, or BEAD, which Feynman was controlling, right? This program, $42.45 billion from the 2021 Infrastructure Act. Evan Feynman, who ran BEAD's rural broadband push at the Commerce Department, has ties to this funding machine. Interesting, right? The pot calling the kettle black. Before that, he was Virginia's broadband chief, cozying up to telecoms to roll out state plans. Now, he's warning that SpaceX Starlink might snag BEAD funding. Ironic, given that AT&T's history of pocketing subsidies while rural folks still C, streaming buffering screens when trying to watch a video. An overwhelming amount of cronyism here. The same players keep winning and the promises keep falling short. Now, this isn't just AT&T. It's Verizon, it's CenturyLink, same as Lumen Technology, it's Frontier, Comcast, Charter. Charter is now Spectrum. It's all of these companies. This is just to name a few. They all are gorging on these subsidies. The fact is, SpaceX Starlink is already serving 85% rural users without bead cash. Let me repeat that. This is so important. SpaceX Starlink is already serving 85% of rural users without bead cash, while AT&T still strings copper in the boonies. The issue isn't just cronies, it's a broken system where profit trumps progress. Telecoms aren't forced to deliver, they're incentivized to coast. Once again, no accountability. That's why Doge is there. And they're people are complaining about it. Why would you complain of such things? I've been bringing this to you guys' attention for years now, how absolute trash AT&T is and how they just screw the people. And they take billions and billions and billions of funding from the government and they give next to nothing. When I say to keep this in mind, that SpaceX Starlink is already servicing 85% of the rural community without the bead cash, without any funding, think about this. Think about it. What are all of these companies going to use to get the funding if the rural community is already covered by SpaceX Starlink? Think about that. They don't need to bridge the digital divide. They don't need $42 billion over there in the bead coffer. They don't need all this stuff. They don't need all this money. So what will end up happening? AT&T and Verizon and Century and Frontier and Charter and Comcast and all the rest of them are no longer going to have that cash cow. It's going to disappear. What are all of those extra little fees going to be for? They're going to have to make something else up because it's not going to be for bridging the digital divide because Elon Musk has already almost done it. They hate it. They cannot stand it. That's why they can't stand him. And that's why they can't stand Doge. Doge is bringing accountability. They haven't had any accountability. Just like they said in the report in 2018, once again, past administration, that, geez, we're just giving out money. There's no accountability and they have nothing to show for it. Nothing. Absolute shame. Shame on these telcos for stealing from you and I. Shame on them. And then showing nothing for it. Even worse, no accountability from the government. They allow it to happen. They allow it. Not for years, not for 1 decade, for 3+, as they were stating in the 90s. Anyways, to end on a good note, SpaceX Starlink is doing fantastic. As I've been talking about for years now, I said it would be a revolution. I also said the very first couple of months, you can go back 450 videos, I said that I would buy stock in this company if I could. I never was able to because they never went public, and they probably won't because Elon is smart. I wish they would. But that being said, he has bridged the digital divide. He has helped my family and tens of thousands, millions of others worldwide. They're up to 5 million with 7,100 satellites now on orbit, and that number is only growing weekly. And they have now moved all operations into Texas with a plant that's putting out about 5 million Starlinks per year, supporting 1,000 households in America, and then expanding it this year alone by an extra 1 million square feet. That should double at least the amount of productivity. So from 5 million per year, maybe 10 million SpaceX Starlink kits per year. Just this year alone, this is going to happen. That is massive. Do you understand how big SpaceX Starlink is now? So when we hear these pieces that are just poo-pooing on how bad it is, just understand who is talking this garbage. Keep in mind the rags. Keep in mind their tilt, their lean. Once again, take it all with a grain of salt because the majority of it is bullshit. And that's just simply it. And I just wanted to kind of highlight these two pieces, completely opposite. A fluff piece on SpaceX Starlink, and then once again, a trash piece on Elon Musk and SpaceX Starlink. So you be the judge. What do you think about all of this? I want to know what you think not only about SpaceX Starlink and putting out all of these satellite kits in a year, 5 million. What do you think about that? Possibility of 10 million by next year. What do you think? Also, what do you think about Feynman over there and his BS and the bead nonsense and the 42 billion here and billions there and billions to AT&T and billions to Verizon and all the rest of them? What do you think about that? What do you think about your fees on those AT&T and on your phone bills that you never know what the hell they are? That are going to be disappearing because they're not going to be needed anymore? There has to be some type of accountability. What do you think about Doge? Do you think there should be accountability like Doge and allow this third party to go through the nuances, the infrastructure, and see what is broken and fix it? Once again, accountability. We give you $1 billion to do X, but you don't. We take the $1 billion away. Okay? I mean, I think that's fair. Do you? Anyways, what say you? Down below in the comments, I want to hear from you. What do you think? And if you don't want to write something down there because you're shy, that's fine. Put an emoji. I'm okay with that. At least I know that you got to the end of the video, and I appreciate you for doing so. Also, like I said before, share the video with folks. That will help grow the channel. That would be really helpful. If you liked the video, throw it a thumbs up. If you didn't, throw it a thumbs down. I'm good with either. I just appreciate you being here. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all of my merch and my tees and my shirts and my books and everything else. If there's something there you like, pick it up, help support me and my family. I would really appreciate that. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay connected, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.